Another miracle of Father Pio has been recognized as enduring. It concerns a man working on the railway in Tuscany who died in 1983 at the age of 70. He said, "I am a living challenge to science." In 1945, he lived near Siena. He had a wife and a son. He supervised electrical installations on the railway. Early in the morning on May 21, while riding his motorcycle to work, he had an accident colliding with a truck. He was taken to the hospital, and doctors diagnosed a fractured skull, a ruptured eardrum in his left ear, several broken ribs, and 5 fractures in his left leg. In the days following the accident, doctors were uncertain if he would survive. The recovery period went well, but he continued to have trouble with his leg. Doctors couldn't heal it. He was moved from one hospital to another in search of effective therapy. He ended up at the orthopedic hospital in Siena, where he was treated for a year. Then he went to the Rizzoli Hospital in Bologna. After several surgeries, his femur improved, but overall, due to other problems, his leg was completely stiff. Doctors said he had fibrous stiffening in the left leg joint and couldn't heal it. Additionally, post-operative wounds also didn't heal. Several attempts were made to join the leg, but unfortunately without success. In this situation, doctors from the orthopedic hospital in Siena decided to try another method. They decided to join the leg under anesthesia using the Zuppinger device. Unfortunately, this last attempt also ended unsuccessfully, and additionally, his femur was broken again. So for the next 2 months, he had to lie in a cast again. In early 1948, he was discharged from the hospital in Siena as an incurable case. He resigned himself to the fact that he might have a stiff leg for the rest of his life. However, at the age of 35, he didn't want to give up. He decided to meet with other doctors, constantly hoping for recovery. At all costs, he wanted to avoid another surgery. He was very tired and sad because of his poor health, non-healing wounds. In moments of desperation, he didn't want to see anyone, didn't want to live anymore. He vented all his anger on his supportive wife. He used crutches to walk, but he couldn't walk a few meters. Eventually, both of his legs stiffened, covered with painful wounds. He often tried to do something on his own, but usually failed. He cried, cursed, blasphemed against God and people. His wife was religious. Unfortunately, he wasn't. When she went to church, he wasn't pleased. In great anger, he offended her and made her cry. One day, a monk from his parish arrived with lectures. He learned about this man and his health condition. The monk wanted to meet him and his wife to give them encouragement. After the meeting, he said to the wife, "Why don't you take your husband to San Giovanni Rotondo, to Father Pio, to the monk who performs miracles?" When the wife repeated the priest's words to him, this man started to laugh ironically and insulted Father Pio. The wife didn't want to miss this opportunity and decided to write letters to Father Pio, but she didn't receive any replies. Then she started persuading her sick husband to fulfill her request and go to San Giovanni Rotondo. The husband's condition was getting worse. He realized that his life was nearing its end. He decided to go. The train journey was very difficult. When he entered the carriage, he felt terrible pain in his leg. The first stop was in Rome, the next in Foggia. To reach San Giovanni Rotondo, they had to take a bus from Foggia, which left early in the morning. The couple decided to spend the night in a hotel. As the man struggled through the station, at one point he fell. It was realized that he too was a railway worker, and he was offered accommodation in one of the rooms at the station. He and his family accepted the offer. Early the next morning, together with his wife and son, they boarded the bus to San Giovanni Rotondo. The bus stopped 2 kilometers from the small church. At that time, the roads were not paved. The man didn't know how he could easily reach the church. As soon as he got there, he sat down, exhausted. He had never seen a photograph of Father Pio before, so he couldn't recognize him. There were many monks in the church. At one point, he saw one who was closest and was confessing a certain woman. the screen hiding the priest was uncovered. The monk looked down, and his hands were hidden in the sleeves of his habit. When he raised his hand to bless the woman, the man saw that this priest wore special gloves that only exposed his palms. At that moment, Father Pio noticed the man and looked at him for several seconds. Under the influence of this gaze, the man's body began to tremble, as if suddenly shocked by electricity. A few minutes later, Father Pio finished the confession and left the confessional. Later that same day, in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, the man returned to the church with his family. His son led him in while Father Pio was confessing. The man had to wait a moment for his turn. When he approached the confessional and began to speak, Father Pio interrupted him and recounted his life, mentioning his behaviors and difficult character. The man was completely under the influence of the monk's words and forgot about his leg and problems. When Father Pio raised his hand to bless him, the man felt the same shock he had felt a few hours earlier. Paying no attention to his injured knee, he knelt down and made the sign of the cross. Later, he stood up, took the crutches in his hands, and left the confessional without any difficulty. His wife noticed the changed expression on her husband's face. She said, "You have such a beautiful face." They stopped for a moment and prayed together. Only when they were leaving the church did the wife fully realize what had happened. She said, "Joseph, you're walking." The man stopped and noticed that he was holding the crutches in his hands and didn't need to lean on them. It was true, he could walk normally on his own without pain, and his son said, "Daddy, you even knelt before Father Pio." The man could move around fully without any problem or pain. He saw his legs, from which the wounds had disappeared. He only saw dry scars. He was healed. He began to cry profusely. His journey home was filled with deep joy because wherever he stopped, he told everyone about his miraculous healing. He also visited the orthopedic hospital in Siena. The doctors were shocked. They couldn't believe that this man was functioning so well and had started working. Furthermore, the X-rays showed that the condition of his leg was the same as before the healing, meaning, from a medical point of view, he shouldn't have been able to walk. The fibrous stiffening of the joint still existed, and theoretically, he could have had problems moving, yet he walked completely normally. His case was presented at a medical conference in Rome. He was visited by numerous scientists from around the world. Each of them was very astonished and amazed by what they saw. It's truly an incredible case of healing by Father Pio, which even shocked the scientific and medical world. Father Pio, a man who is a symbol of humility, teaches us humility. May God bless you.